Alrighty, so today we are sitting down to film another one-shot review. The movie that I watched today was the documentary about the creation of Flamin Hot Cheetos called Flamin Hot. It actually follows basically the life story of the person who invented them, Richard Montañez, and it follows him from him as a child through issues he's having as a younger adult to getting his first job at Frito-Lay, all the way until he eventually, with the help of his family, creates the recipe for Flamin' Hot and sells that to Frito-Lay, and then becomes the director of multicultural marketing at Frito-Lay. So within this movie, it's basically one of those like sappy life stories sort of things, but it was really interesting. I mean, thinking about it, like if I were to think about how many bags of Flamin' Hot Cheetos of any sort of form I eat a year, it would probably be a disgusting amount because I definitely eat them multiple times a week. So, seeing this movie come up on Hulu, it's a Searchlight Pictures thing. Apparently, it's the Eva Longoria film. I just was drawn to it. It was like, I need to figure out what the heck is the story behind this thing if I'm eating them so much. Like, if I could invest in solely Flamin' Hot, I don't know why I'm not invested in Frito-Lay and Pepsi, but because I'm even like a Pepsi guy over Coke. But, I would do that. So anyway, just to kind of get into it, I think if I talk about his life story, it won't necessarily ruin the movie for you. But it is really interesting. The guy starts out as, basically any other person would in sort of an underprivileged circumstance. And, he grows up on a work camp where his families are working on this vineyard. And then he eventually gets embroiled in crime because that's just how they felt like they could get by during that time. And then once his wife begins having children, they are very serious about kind of putting that life behind them and raising their kids and stuff like that, which they do. But naturally, it's very hard to find a job in the Nixon / I think Reagan economy. And because of that, he struggles to find work, and they're eventually kind of on hard times until one of his friends gives him the opportunity to, or at least lets him know of the opportunity to apply and work for Frito-Lay. So from that point, he's working as a janitor, and you can kind of see the initiative in this guy. He actually has like a knack for fixing things, as he helped his dad fix things while he was growing up and stuff like that. And he enlists the help of this machinist / engineer named Clarence, that is somebody that works on, making sure the machines are dialed in to what they're supposed to be and stuff like that. And his hope in doing so is that if he can befriend Clarence, then he'll be able to not only learn all the things that he needs to do to be able to become this engineer machinist guy, but that job will be, ultimately like a much better job for him and his family. So that's kind of the path that he goes down. And, you can see the initiative in this guy as he is taking the time to learn not only his job, but other people's job. And he's showing up when he's not even on shift to be able to take the time to get that education from everybody working and stuff like that. And just kind of shows like how much of a hard worker this guy is. And, eventually that leads him to the point where, they're worried about the factory going down as the snack wars are ensuing. And as a result of that, he thinks that his answer to their problem is to create a product that is marketed towards Latino culture and Latinos in general, because they feel like when they look at the store shelves prior to Flamin' Hot and other sorts of chile spiced stuff, that there's really nothing for them there. Like, this is all flavors that are made for the white palate. And, it's definitely true, especially because, they have this interesting scene where they go into the convenience store in his neighborhood and none of the Frito-Lay snacks are being bought up, but it's all flavors that none of them are really interested in. So that's essentially the movie. Eventually you get to the point where he's, in the lab with his wife, sort of trying to figure out what the flavor is going to be. How do you create this slurry? How do you get it to work with the Cheetos that they're taking from the factory? All that kind of stuff. And then he has the initiative to find a way to get in contact with the CEO, let him know about his idea. He sends him the chips, a string of, great luck happens and everything works out in the end. But it's not just luck. Obviously, it's luck matched with this guy's insane initiative and drive to get his vision across to the people that can actually, help him take it to the next level. So that's basically the story. If that sounds like a story you would want to watch a documentary about or a dramatic sort of retelling about, then, you'd probably like this movie. Things I like about the movie is, for one, that it's an interesting story. It's about a product that we hopefully are all eating on a regular basis, or not if you're one of those people that it just messes you up. I personally love Flamin Hot Cheetos, and I have since I was probably in the earliest days in middle school. And so, given that I know many of my friends also are the same way, it's a great thing. It's like one of those things where it's like, I didn't know that, but that's an awesome story that's tied to this thing that I like to consume. Which who knows if that's like a psyop or not, I don't know. I'm erring on the side of hopefully not. So that being said, what are things I like about the movie? I like the story, like I just said. I like the mood and the attitude and the way that they tell his story and the way they pace it out, and they kind of they really just are showing you how much initiative this guy has as a person, how much drive he has, and then that eventually leads him to the opportunity to give his idea to somebody. And I kind of enjoy that. That's very base. Like today, it's so easy with how dystopian things can feel at times to lose sight of that opportunity to work hard and be rewarded for it. But even in today's day, it still exists. Like one of the main things that's happening in this movie is that he's trying to gain more skills so that he can get a job that will be more secure, higher paying, and allow him to provide for his family. There is no time greater than today to gain those skills, given that you have access to the internet and YouTube, and you can literally, if you put your mind to it, learn the things that are missing from your resume, put them on your resume, and then go apply for that job. Now, obviously, the big elephant in the room is the college diploma and all that, and having the right degree and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not going to argue with you on that. That's absolutely true. But it just reinvigorates me, at least as a person. I don't know if it would do it for everybody else, but I sometimes lose sight of that drive as you get beaten down by the monotonous of the day and day. And this sort of movie kind of helps bring that spirit back up in you a little bit. Now, what would be the couple of things I don't like about the movie? This is one of those ones that's like heavily narrated by the main character's voice, and they really lean in to the cheesy parts of it or the corny parts of it a little bit too much. While I like that they're going for this emotional payoff, it's like if you do the exact same conflict and resolution like 3 or 4 times, it's just like, okay, yeah, like I know this is the point of this movie. And at some point I felt like maybe there were 1 or 2 too many of those. But maybe that's just me not being the target demographic for this movie. And this is actually a thing that needs to get signal boosted to help the people that are that target demographic. And that's okay. I just, me being somebody that doesn't really need to learn that lesson, I guess, it's just like, okay, yeah, like I get the point you're trying to drive home, and I agree with it. It's just like, maybe we don't have to do it. We don't have to do the scene where you have the big emotional, like, but no, I'm going to do this, like so many times. You know what I mean? So I think it's powerful, but it's almost like the powerfulness of the scenes where it really mattered to have that scene gets diluted when you want to place them at multiple points to try to keep me emotionally engaged. So that's my one knock on it. And that part of it, especially with the heavy narration, kind of makes it feel like, this movie was supposed to go straight to streaming, right? Like it was almost like there's a lack of, like there could have been a way to sequence the movie in a more strategic way. I don't know. But regardless, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. Plugging it into the 2 scales, I'm going to say, if you could see this movie in theaters, it's probably not going to be any better than watching it at home, to be honest. And I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. So, with that being said, I would definitely watch it on Hulu, like everybody else. Go watch it today if you want, if you're interested in the story. I think it was pretty interesting. And it's one of those things where, like, you'll walk out of it feeling better. You know, it's like a mood lifter. So, if you want something like that to watch, this is the movie. And it's about something that so many of us consume on a daily basis. Like, the expansion of Flamin Hot as a brand has been massive in the last 5 years. So just, you know, if you're interested in that at all, it's a great movie. Plugging into the out of 5 system, I have to say this movie comes in at a light to solid 3. And the reason why is because the production value and the heavy narration, but it was still a very good movie and a very good story. And like I said, it positively, you know, reinvigorated that kind of can-do attitude in me, and maybe it will for you too. And just for that alone, I think it's a great movie. But on top of that, it's an awesome rags to riches story about somebody coming from a background and a situation that didn't necessarily give them the best hand in life, and they found a way to persevere and create this great business for themselves. So with that being said, that's the review of Flamin' Hot, the documentary about Richard Montañez. And I will catch you guys on the next review. Subscribe if you want to, like if you want to, and dislike the video if you feel like you have to. But if you do, you have to leave a comment down below. Otherwise, you're not giving me any feedback, and that's just pointless. So that's it. That's the review. I'll catch you guys on the next one.